Hello, I am Chrishelle Palay, the Executive Director for the Houston Organizing Movement for Equity Coalition, also known as the Home Coalition in Houston, Texas. And we serve the greater Houston and Harris County area here in Texas. The Home Coalition was actually created and founded in the midst of Hurricane Harvey in 2017. And it's comprised of approximately 19 to 20 groups that specifically came together to ensure that low-income communities of color could overcome and recover from disaster, all types of disasters, in an equitable manner. And we understand and recognize that communities often have several issues that they're dealing with when it comes to disaster. And we make sure that we work at the intersection of those issues, specifically around housing, flood mitigation, environmental justice, labor issues, and direct services. And we do all of this work by providing policy advocacy work, legal enforcement, and it's all undergirded by and led by community organizing efforts. We first began working with UWU in the midst of COVID. And although COVID has, dealt a horrible blow to all of us, I have to say that had it not been for COVID, we probably would not have met UWU or even began working with UWU. Like so many other areas across our country, we were dealing with all that COVID brought with it, along with the health issues, the health challenges. And the major thing that we saw in our community specifically was the high rates of unemployment, people losing their jobs, and consequently being faced with the reality of eviction. So we joined forces with UWU to lead a campaign specifically around anti-eviction. And we created the Anti-Eviction Network. And in this network, what we were able to do is to look at other organizing tools and other organizing approaches aside from the traditional ways of organizing. Many of our groups that are typically doing organizing within the community were unable to do door knocking like was traditionally done. And so by partnering with UWU, we were able to begin learning about these digital tools and about the texting campaigns and how to really start to engage folks. And with their partnership, along with some others, we were able to actually reach out to over 400,000 tenants that we know were facing eviction or that were having issues with housing. And from that now, we have developed a database of about 9,000 people who actually want to stay informed about what issues are, what resources are available, all in an effort to mobilize a movement around eviction. And it's been a great experience just to be able to actually touch people, especially in these moments of social distancing or physical distancing, where we can't go out and talk to people and meet people face to face, but we can have these ongoing conversations. And to speak to the power of digital organizing and still providing organizing tools, I really want to uplift one particular instance where Houston, we experienced a historical winter storm earlier this year. And this was on top of knowing that, again, many of our tenants were experiencing eviction. And we had already identified that we really want to see a grace period ordinance happen in Houston. And in the midst of the winter storm, literally while pipes were bursting and because they were frozen and electricity was out, we were able to assemble several tenants on a Zoom city council meeting to specifically tell the mayor that a grace period ordinance was necessary in order to protect and keep our tenants safe. And I think just being able to have people that showed up in the midst of their power being disconnected and their pipes beginning to burst and just being all of these different issues that were going to icy roads, they showed up. Well, we would not have even known that those folks were even there or wanted to participate and wanted to build towards a movement had we not had these tools and had the training that Uwu was able or has been able to provide. The Home Coalition is a small organization. We consist currently of 2 employees, the executive director, myself, along with the digital organizer. So we are being recognized as a small but mighty team as we do this work. Oftentimes, when we're sharing the number of people that we're touching and the conversations we're having, people are very blown away by what we've been able to get done. And I have to say that we owe a lot of that to Uwu. When I think about the future and what future work looks like, and what strategic partnerships may look like in the future, I really look at the opportunities that are here in not just in Houston but in Texas. There's definitely a movement going on with so many people recognizing we are definitely in a moment of awakening. And so people are wanting to understand and know how they can mobilize their communities, how they can galvanize and wield their power. And so I just look forward to continuing to work to see how we can continue to expand our work, not just around disaster recovery, but then also looking more deeply into many of the labor issues. We know that we have folks that are working really hard on progressive labor movements, but we've not yet reached a point where we've woven that needle and pulled everything together, where we see have a charge going forward, and we've been able to identify folks throughout the not just Houston and Harris County, but also Texas. And so because of Uwu's tools, I'm hoping that we can see something specifically focusing on Black and Brown workers and movement here in Texas, because that's something we haven't seen. And to be able to integrate that along with housing issues and other issues that we see, I just see a mighty, mighty movement here in Texas. And I really see a future, a bright future with us and Uwu working along our side.